The exhausted crew of the Golden Delight spotted land after 2 grueling weeks at sea. Relief washed over them as home drew near. Then through the waves, they noticed something swimming in a way they'd never seen before. When it emerged, the entire crew froze, their faces pale. The ocean can be unforgiving. No one knows this better than the crew of the Golden Delight, a fishing vessel that had just embarked on what was supposed to be a routine expedition. Captain Mike and his team of 6 experienced fishermen had done this countless times before: head out, fill their nets, and return home. But this time would be different. It started normally enough. The crew set out on a crisp morning, the weather perfect for fishing. Their usual spot awaited them, a location that had never failed to provide a decent catch. But as they dropped their nets into the familiar waters, something felt off. Hour after hour passed, and their nets came up nearly empty. This was unprecedented. The crew exchanged worried glances. They couldn't return with empty holds. Their families depended on this catch, and the boat's expenses wouldn't pay themselves. After a tense discussion, they made a bold decision. They would venture into unfamiliar waters, far beyond their usual fishing grounds. It was a gamble that could either save or doom their expedition. As they pushed further out to sea, the atmosphere on board grew tenser with each passing mile. They were entering waters none of them had fished before, guided only by old charts and whispered stories of abundant fishing grounds. Then, finally, their luck turned. The nets began coming up full, more than full. Fish unlike anything they'd seen in their usual waters filled their storage holds. The crew's spirits soared as they realized this might be their biggest catch ever, but there's an old saying among sailors: the sea never gives without taking something in return. As if punishing them for their success, the weather turned violent. Dark clouds rolled in with frightening speed, bringing with them waves that threatened to swallow the Golden Delight whole. The storm forced them to take a treacherous detour, adding days to their journey. Their 2-day trip had already stretched to over a week. The crew rationed their supplies carefully, but as days turned into weeks, even careful planning couldn't prevent their resources from running dangerously low. Fresh water became more precious than gold. They survived on their catch and collected rainwater, but exhaustion began to take its toll. The once jovial crew grew quiet, their faces drawn with fatigue. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, land appeared on the horizon. The sight of it was like a miracle, bringing tears to their tired eyes. They were just hours from home. The crew erupted in celebration. Their ordeal was almost over, but the sea wasn't finished with them yet. Through the waves, something caught the eye of Dave, their youngest crew member. At first he thought fatigue was playing tricks on his mind, but as he called his crewmates over, they all saw it. A large shape moving through the water in an unusual way. The crew had seen plenty of marine life over their years at sea. Dolphins were common in these waters, often playing in the boat's wake. But this was different. The creature's movements were erratic, almost desperate. It would surface, struggle for a moment, then disappear beneath the waves, only to repeat the pattern again and again. As they watched, a feeling of unease spread through the crew. Something wasn't right. The creature's behavior was unlike anything they'd encountered in all their years at sea. Was it injured? Hunting? Or was it something else entirely? The captain ordered the boat to slow down, and they carefully approached the mysterious figure in the water. As they drew closer, the truth began to emerge, but it only raised more questions. They could now see it was indeed a dolphin, but its movements were constrained, restricted by something they couldn't yet make out. The crew faced a difficult decision. They were exhausted, running dangerously low on supplies, and just hours from home. Every minute they delayed meant more hardship. Yet something about this creature's struggle touched them deeply. Perhaps it was because they too knew what it felt like to be at the mercy of the sea. What happened next would transform their already extraordinary voyage into something none of them would ever forget. The crew made a unanimous decision that would test their remaining strength and resources, but would also remind them of something profound about their connection to the ocean and its creatures. As they maneuvered closer, the full scope of the situation became clear. The magnificent dolphin was completely entangled in a heavy fishing net, likely abandoned by another vessel. The net was wrapped tightly around its tail, preventing it from diving properly. Each attempt to swim normally resulted in a desperate struggle back to the surface. The sight hit the crew hard. They had spent their lives taking from the ocean, but now, they had a chance to give something back. Despite their exhaustion, they sprang into action. Using their expertise with nets, they carefully positioned their own equipment to bring the struggling creature aboard. The rescue itself was a delicate operation. One wrong move could harm the dolphin or endanger the crew. To their surprise, the creature remained remarkably calm as they worked, almost as if it understood their intentions. Two crew members held it steady while their deck leader, with trembling hands, began cutting away the tangled net. The work was painstaking. The abandoned net had wrapped itself so tightly that they had to cut it away strand by strand. Every minute felt like an hour as they worked to free the creature. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, the last piece of net fell away. The dolphin appeared uninjured besides its obvious exhaustion. After carefully checking its condition, they prepared to release it back into the ocean. As they lowered it into the water, there was a collective holding of breath. Would it be able to swim properly? The dolphin slipped beneath the waves and disappeared from sight. The crew watched the water anxiously, hoping they had done enough. For a moment, there was nothing but the sound of waves lapping against the boat's hull. Then something magical happened. A splash erupted from the water as a dolphin, they were certain it was the same one, leaped high into the air. It was a magnificent sight, the creature's body arching gracefully against the sky before plunging back into the sea. But it wasn't finished. The dolphin began swimming alongside their boat, jumping playfully as if performing a joyful dance of freedom. For these hardened fishermen who had spent their lives harvesting the ocean's bounty, this moment held special meaning. The intelligent creature seemed to be expressing gratitude, transforming their act of kindness into something extraordinary. Some of the crew would later swear they saw the dolphin nod at them before finally disappearing into the depths. The crew of the Golden Delight finally made it back to shore with more than just their record-breaking catch. They'd experienced something that would stay with them forever. In their most desperate moment, when every instinct told them to hurry home, they had chosen compassion over convenience. Their simple decision to help a struggling creature, despite their own hardships, had turned an ordinary fishing trip into an extraordinary tale of kindness at sea. It served as a reminder that sometimes the most meaningful rewards come not from what we catch in our nets, but from what we choose to set free. Years later, the crew would still talk about that day, about the mysterious creature that had followed their boat and the choice they made. Some would say it was just a dolphin tangled in a net, but others felt it was something more. A test of their humanity in their darkest hour, a chance to prove that even in our most desperate moments, compassion can prevail. The tale of the Golden Delight and the strange creature that followed them became a legend among local fishermen. It reminded them that the sea, for all its harshness, sometimes offers us moments of pure magic, if we're willing to look past our own struggles and help another soul in need.